This video is going to be my preview for the Ravens-Bengals Week 2 matchup in Cincinnati, a rematch of the wild card playoff game last year that was a classic. Of course, it didn't end well for us as Ravens fans, especially the way the Bengals scored the game-winning touchdown. But we're looking forward to a super competitive game, a hard-hitting AFC North matchup. And despite the injuries that the Ravens have, we're hoping we can go in there and get a win. It's going to be a tall task. Even though the Bengals got outplayed seemingly across the board last week against the Browns in Cleveland. Poor weather. Burrow did not look comfortable. I didn't see him moving a lot, to be honest with you, in the pocket. I will show some Browns offense film from that game. We're going to split this up into segments, to be honest with you. I'll cover a Ravens offense segment, focus on Lamar. A Ravens defense segment where I talk about the losses of Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Williams. Of course, we knew that Marlon Humphrey was going to be out for a while, and I'm glad he's not playing this week. I don't want to see him or Mark Andrews get rushed back. I'll talk about our defense, specifically Kyle Hamilton, some of the really good things that we saw from him, and the large disparity there is between the talent level of our DBs as it stands right now, Week 2, with Humphrey and Williams out, versus the DB group that was on the field for 180 minutes last year against the Bengals and did an amazing job in almost every instance. By my count, I think the Bengals had 5 drives last year, maybe 6, I guess, but it was a short field, where they kind of were in control of our defense across those 3 games. So we'll get to the film here in a moment. I'm going to start with the Ravens offense. Most of my videos this past week, film study videos, was on the defense because they played so well. I did do the Ravens Offense podcast Friday morning. If anyone's interested in it, it's audio only. So possibly less interesting to many of the viewers here who want to see the film. And look, the Ravens Offense is a completely different thing in multiple ways. It's going to be a vastly different group without Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum. Let's just admit it. We're at a deficit against those guys, against DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson, who plays off of that right side, Joseph Asai, an up-and-coming young player. But the real manner, I would say, that this is going to be a different game from the Ravens offense versus Bengals defense standpoint is, look, the Bengals got to deal with Lamar Jackson. Also, the scheme is new. Clearly, we have a new offensive coordinator. But Rashad Bateman's playing. OBJ's playing. And Zay Flowers. All 3 of those guys being added to the roster. Todd Monken has more position player talent at his disposal than Lou Anarumo has had to face during his amazing run as the defensive coordinator with the Bengals. And as much as they've accomplished defensively in the last 2 years, with Dax Hill and Battle as their safeties now, replacing Jesse Bates and Von Bell, they're going to have some growing pains. I wonder if some of their coverage calls might change, if they'll play less what I consider to be split field coverages. But look, getting a Woozy back, he's an extremely underrated corner, in my opinion. The guy can cover anyone, can play anywhere. Let's get to some of the film and talk about Lamar and the offense in Week 1. Very inconsistent, clearly. From a team standpoint, this is going to be a second possession, Lamar's interception. Man free, Zeitler. We had trouble on the offensive line, clearly. Zeitler getting beat by, I think, Will Anderson. QB hit and an interception by Steven Nelson. A ball that, in that situation, I think 3rd and 6, I would suggest that Lamar shouldn't be throwing. We don't want to take a sack, clearly. But we shouldn't be risking a turnover and losing points. Because in a game like this against the Bengals, we're going to need every point we can get. All right, later on, I think this is a scramble where there's pressure. Again, it's Will Anderson getting around the edge on Pat Ricard. Lamar scrambles for 14 yards. This is the type of thing that the Bengals didn't have to deal with in the wildcard round. Well, I say that. There was the design QB run for Huntley that nearly went for a touchdown. Only an amazing effort by Jesse Bates to, I think, get around Isaiah Likely's block and make a touchdown-saving tackle, basically. But the agility, the ability to do these things unplanned, clearly it's a far different thing with Lamar on the field than it is with Tyler Huntley. We showed a lot of different formations. I really love the ability to throw the ball to the running back into the boundary. And that's what this here. I think we had 2 effective screens into the boundary where the running back is lined up to the field. This formation, I think, is one of Todd Monken's bread and butter formations. Bunch A. So the running back is on the same side. And then, so he's to the field, the running back. And then he's going to cross face and go down into the boundary. The Bengals they're perfectly comfortable in their nickel defense against 20 personnel, against 11 personnel. I expect them to play that with Mike Hilton as the nickel. This screen down into the boundary is going to stress the boundary side inside linebacker, but it's not that simple when he's got someone getting out on him. Look at Zeitler getting out on this guy. Now, Zeitler doesn't get there necessarily, and he doesn't pancake, doesn't turn him. Now, Tyler Linderbaum does, and we're certainly going to miss him and his agility. This is the type of situation where if Zeitler gets a good block on this guy and can seal him, I mean, he could take that to the house. The screens into the boundary is a new element brought into this offense in terms of how the Bengals have to defend it, particularly, like I said, into the boundary. Beautiful throw to Zay Flowers on a third down. And I did it in the podcast that I did Friday morning. I talked about the coverages, the usage of stick split zero and heavy pressure. You'll get the end zone angle of this one. But just a note here, Jalen Petre is a touch slow getting over here. Why? Possibly because Lamar is looking over to the offense's right, the defense's left. And again, you'll get the end zone angle so you can confirm it for yourself. But you can see the angle of Lamar's helmet right now. This is the last third down for like 3 possessions in a row where the Ravens didn't get stick split zero or a 5 or 6 man pressure. The point was DeMeco Ryans and his staff, after that play, said, hey, we're going to pressure him, make him throw the ball quick, and not allow him to scramble to get the first down. You can see Lamar, his helmet was canted a little bit further there. Now he's clearly looking at likely. Moves away from it. This is probably my favorite throw, even though, he's not pressured and Zay Flowers is wide open. It's my favorite throw because he looks to one side and comes back to the other. That's the type of thing we haven't done enough of in the last couple of years, particularly against this Bengals defense, which, as you know, if you've watched my channel at all, I think incredibly highly of as a unit. And then the preparation and the ability to adjust that Lou Anarumo has is fantastic. Now, the dynamic also changes with Lou going up against Todd Monken, because this is a second and 18, by the way, complete to Bateman. I think Lamar's slightly late getting this ball out. I think it should be, and additionally, I think either Likely or Flowers' route is ran incorrectly because they're a little close together. To me, it just looks like a flood with an angled hook. Someone, probably Likely, I think it's Likely, supposed to come down here to the outside and then Flowers here. But in any case, Lou Anarumo doesn't have this offense figured out yet. Well, he's a brilliant defensive coordinator, but I don't think he's got it figured out yet. He's only got 1 game of film from the regular season. He had Greg Roman's number in terms of he understood when we were doing certain things. They made everything difficult for us. Granted, last year we played 2 of the 3 games without Lamar Jackson. And lo and behold, that's the 2 games that the Bengals won. Another situation where they got pressure. The Bengals are going to be able to get pressure if our offensive line plays the way they did in week 1. That's just reality. Without Ronnie Stanley, without Linderbaum, if we don't play with more force, we don't handle stunts better, which is what this is. I don't think I give the end zone angle, but this is Will Anderson on an outside rush and then dipping underneath, and then the D tackle originated from the inside. So it's just a switch rush, a twist. Lamar escapes it. He does Lamar Jackson things. When we have him on the field and a new offensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo doesn't have us figured out. Maybe he will later on in the season, but not yet. To me, that's advantage Ravens right now. This is the twist that you're going to see, by the way. D-tackle gets upfield. Will Anderson's going to fold inside. We have trouble with these twist stunts across the board. Right guard, right tackle. Left guard, left tackle. Last year, Linderbaum had a lot of trouble with them, to be honest with you, the twist stunts. Basically, he was getting picked, slammed into by a D-tackle, and someone was looping around. I didn't see Linderbaum have trouble with it Sunday, but as a whole, the Ravens offense certainly did. Sticks blitz zero here. I covered this in audio format in the podcast. Sticks blitz zero, what is it? The yard to gain is here. I think it's the 48. So the DBs are generally lined up there. They're lined up at the sticks. These routes look like they're there. The corner is going to look directly at Lamar. As soon as Lamar looks over there, he's ready to break. This is what the Dolphins did in 2021. They're going to break to the side wherever Lamar looks. They're reading him because they know he doesn't have time to pump fake and throw. I do not believe that we should be attacking short in these situations. I think we should be taking shots deep. Yes, the ball has to be thrown early, no doubt. But we're going to see this look until we score against it, probably until we score twice. On third downs, at least. You're not going to see it on 1st and 10 because it's not sound against a down kick scheme or run concept. Third quarter, first play of the third quarter for Lamar, sharp. Under center, stepping up, eyes downfield on Zay Flowers. Only, I think, a 3-man route, but looked really good on this. I'd like to see more of it. I'd like to see us run the ball out of one back under center, too. I think from the preseason and through the one game, I think it's 6 for 7. Under center, one back is play action. So when I say under center, one back, I mean one running back in the backfield, quarterback under center. I got 6 for 7 play action pass. That's got to change. You can't be that skewed as far as what you're doing. But Lamar is smooth, body under control. Looks like one of his feet kind of slides out on the throw, but a great throw nonetheless. Zay Flowers wide open against Derek Stingley. He's going to be a problem. I'm interested to see if they put Flowers into the slot and have him matched up against Mike Hilton. I think the world of Mike Hilton. I think he's a fantastic football player. But I think Zay Flowers is going to have the edge there if he gets matched up against him. 3rd and 5, China out from Zay Flowers. Third quarter still, like I said. 19-yard gain. Change of direction. This is not sticks blitz 0. This is man, don't get me wrong. I would call it man free, but I covered this in the podcast, and I'll continue to say this. Teams are not going to play the typical man free against Lamar where you have one Mike linebacker or inside linebacker or maybe a safety who is responsible for the low hole. 6 to 10 yards depth, maybe 12, middle of the field. Reading the quarterback's eyes, looking to cut routes. And then additionally, a free safety doing the same thing. But a 4-man rush. That's not what teams do. They don't do this when they play man free. They utilize this guy, which you can see on film here, but they play man everywhere else. Why? Because of Lamar. Because they got to bring 5 in order to keep him contained and not give him time and give him the ability to scramble on the same play. You can't do that. You got to take one away from him. And that's what stick split 0 does, and that's what 5-man version of man free does. That was a conversion on a 3rd and 5, and then the very next play, great throw to Bateman over the middle. I think I'll give you the end zone angle of this one. I don't know about you, but just seeing Bateman out there, makes me feel good for that guy. Young player. A lot of potential. I felt he was open 3 other times on Sunday. Not that he should have had the ball thrown to him, but he's making himself available. To state that a player is open isn't criticizing the quarterback for not throwing it to him. That's selfish. What it is saying he's playing well enough to be open. This is a 3rd and 7, late third quarter. OBJ left side. It looks like stick split 0, but you can kind of tell that it's not. Why? Well, they're not lined up at the sticks. Look where the corner is. This is the yard to go right here. So it's not going to be sticks. So it's a kind of an indicator there that you're probably going to get some people dropping out of here. I think one of them's a D tackle that drops out. OBJ's catch on the left sideline. Smooth. For some reason, the Texans players on the sideline thought he bobbled it. I didn't. End zone angle, same play. You can see what's being threatened. And this is what I would expect the Bengals to do on some third downs, to be real. We've got to take shots up top. We've got to look to score. Wherever Lamar looks first is where people are going to hedge, is where people are going to move in these third down situations where they're bringing pressure. The pass to OBJ, who's at the bottom of the screen, if this wasn't Lamar's best pass of the day, it was his second best, or maybe it was 1 and 1A. Slight pump fake, and then intentionally throws it away from the safety towards the sideline. OBJ, this is the second time where I've seen him just win clean in terms of vertical. Getting on the top side of the DB, just winning on a vertical. I'll give the end zone angle of this one. I did a YouTube short on it. I don't know if you guys ever check those out. Just quick little videos, 10, 15 seconds, showing 1 or 2 plays. I love that Lamar looks to the right first and then comes back here. Is he looking the safety off? Maybe. Is he looking to the right to see if someone's open and then coming back to OBJ? That's possible too. But either way, he looks over there to hold that safety, not allow that safety to get to the other side where OBJ was. I think we'll have options against this Bengals defense. They didn't look the same level of efficiency against the Browns. They could certainly come out there and play lights out against the Ravens like they've done in the past, but the dynamic is drastically different, and I don't think it's a given that the Bengals defense is going to come out there and be able to get pressure, play great coverage, and tackle with leverage and players playing at proper angles on every snap like they have in the past. It's a different offense. Monken's a different threat. The Monken-Lou Anarumo dynamic is a far different one than the Greg Roman-Lou Anarumo dynamic was the last couple of years. The next part of this preview will be about the Ravens defense. Certainly played incredibly well against the Texans. I understand that there'll be people who will say, well, the Texans offense isn't very good. I don't think that it's fair to judge a young team like the Texans, with the amount of injuries they had on the offensive line after one game. I think that that Texans team is going to be better over the course of the season than a lot of us expect, number one. Number two, we have film last year of the Ravens playing excellent defense against the Bengals, by and large, for 180 minutes, or however much time we actually played defense during those games. And the three guys I think that are really going to be stressed, besides the DBs, is Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, and Kyle Hamilton. Because if you think about it in terms of who we have out there defensively for this matchup, what we used to have, we're talking about without Humphrey and Marcus Williams, the margin for error is just a lot smaller for this defense. Last year we were blessed to watch 3 hard-fought close games. I know the Week 18 regular season game was not close from a score standpoint because I think the Bengals were actually up 17-0 in the second quarter, but the gameplay for the large majority of the game was quite competitive. I think the Ravens defense played a very disciplined second half. At one point, I think in that game they got a punt or a fourth down stop on 8 out of 9 possessions by the Bengals. So we're going to talk about the DB group here. Queen and Smith is kind of a given. Much is going to be expected of them. They're going to have to play extremely well for the Ravens to have a chance. And the other guy I think that's got to play well is Kyle Hamilton. Now, he's not going to be spot shadowed here, to be honest with you. You're going to see him used in multiple alignments. I thought he played extremely well on Sunday. But the DB group that we had last year, we can't lie. It was superior to what we have this year. Marcus, going from left to right, Marcus Peters, Chuck Clark, Marcus Williams, because Marcus Williams played, I don't know if you know this, Marcus Williams played a ton of snaps against the Bengals last year. Yes, he got hurt in the Week 5 game, but he played 100% of the snaps in the Week 18 regular season finale and 100% of the snaps in the wild card playoff game. Marcus Williams was there, even though he was injured. It's a nice job by the way, of Hamilton in man against the tight end. Hamilton was the nickel last year. Well, who do we have this year? We've got Darby, Stevens, maybe Rock Ya-Sin is healthy, Geno Stone, Ardarius Washington, who again played well, I thought, against the Texans. The talent level is just not the same. I wonder if our game plan for what we'll do defensively will change. Can we use the same style with 4 new DBs? Because let's be honest, the Bengals are going to be in 11 personnel, more than anything. Can we hold Joe Burrow and company down in similar fashion? I guess some people would say, do we need to? Because we anticipate our offense scoring more. That's entirely possible. With Lamar on the field, OBJ, Bateman, and Flowers, I would give you that. If you were the Bengals, though, you would probably stay in 11 personnel as much as possible this week, and here's why. Force the Ravens to put that 5th DB on the field. Since we have 2 of our best DBs hurt out right now, and look, I like Darby, and I think Stevens played well last week. I'd love to see Rock Ya-Sin out there if he's healthy. But right now, the Ravens' 5th DB, in whatever configuration we have at the moment, is probably someone that the Bengals would like to attack. Either Ardarius Washington, Arthur Millette, when they go 11 personnel, the Bengals, and put Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trevor Boyd, and or Tyler Boyd, and I think it's Irv Smith, the tight end. Now, I have an interesting thought about Irv Smith, something that I've only watched the Browns game, so this may not be accurate, but he does not seem like nearly as effective a blocker as the backup guy is. This is a beautiful job of Kyle Hamilton. He got a boot by Stroud. Harrison, who played a very underrated football game last week, is running with the tight end here, and Hamilton mid-play recognizes that. He recognizes that this route is covered. So watch him peel back to take away the route by Nico Collins, the deep over route. Get underneath of it. And this looks like to me, it looked like a longer gain for Stroud because he ran so long. It was only a 3-yard gain. It went from the negative 21 to the negative 24. Hamilton's off screen to our left. You'll see him flash in a minute. Here is the over route by Collins, and you can see that appears to be where Stroud is looking, and Hamilton's going to get directly in the window. Stroud's already off of it because I think he saw Hamilton. Ends up being a 3-yard gain. Hamilton, Smith, and Queen, I think, are going to be relied on. I think we're going to play probably softer coverages. Now, the interesting thing about our coverages last year, I thought we played hard-coded coverages against the Bengals in Week 5, Tampa 2, some man-free, some cover 3. But later on in the year, as we faced them 2 weeks in a row consecutively, I thought we played more quarters or split field coverages. I'm going to try to find a link to an amazing video that a guy did. I think it's Thinking Football. Great content. I don't get the chance to watch it that often. But this one was about quarters or split field coverages. Did a way better job than I have of explaining what it is so you can see it and know that it's... Now, I have a disagreement with a lot of people. I don't think quarter, half is a split field coverage. Yes, one side is cover 2 and one side is a quarters coverage, but I don't view it as a split field coverage where you're pattern matching and pattern reading. I still view it as a hard-coded coverage. You might see more of that from the Ravens, to be honest with you. Getting to the Bengals offense, to be honest with you, and we'll show some film here in a moment, is a great tackle by Hamilton. I thought the Bengals offense last week was shocking. We as Ravens fans are used to, well, from 2021, we're used to seeing them hit big plays up the sideline. And other places too, don't get me wrong. And in 2022, early in the season, teams played, this is Hamilton here, he's going to get the tackle after covering the tight end man-to-man. He's going to tackle Nico Collins. Pretty physical play. The amount of field that Hamilton covers is almost like having 11 and a half guys on the field. And I feel the same way about Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen. Last year, early in the year, a lot of teams played Tampa 2 against the Bengals. And then the Ravens used it like 13 or 14 times in our Week 5 win in Baltimore, 1917. The Browns didn't play, at least early. I got the first 6 possessions. The Browns didn't play it a lot. I got them in man-free from a 5-1 look. So 2 edge rushers, 3 interior linemen, 1 inside backer in pass situations. They took JOK off the field, I think. I don't think the guy's very, very consistent in coverage. The Browns seem to take him off the field in coverage whenever I watch that team. But it worked against the Bengals. Burrow didn't seem to be moving very well. As in, one of the things that's underrated about Burrow, I mean, yeah, he makes quick decisions. He gets the ball out fast, quick release, got a great arm. One of the things that's underrated about him is he can make people miss. When you think about them beating the Chiefs in the 2021 AFC title game, he had 2 runs in the second half, I thought, that were amazing in terms of getting the first down. I think they were both on third down. Burrow didn't seem comfortable. Browns were very aggressive in coverage. I don't know that the Ravens can recreate that look. I don't know that the Ravens can go in there and play the same style defense that the Browns just did. I just don't think we should. Let me rephrase that. I think we should stick to what we do. We haven't seen this group of Bengals offensive players put together games like last week many times. And for me, I'm going to be honest with you, it's tough to envision a scenario where they play down to that level much longer. It's very difficult to imagine. Am I saying that I think they're going to score 35 points against this Ravens defense? No, this Ravens defense is just too damn good. Too disciplined, very well supported and balanced. Having said that, if we play man-free, I expect Burrow to challenge up the outside, which is what he did against the Browns. As soon as he saw man-free, he threw from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline. I don't think the Ravens have the corners, Darby, Rock Ya-Sin, and Brandon Stevens, to hold up against those types of routes. So we're going to have to be in different coverages. I think the Bengals' run game has not improved. Just on first glance. And if the Bengals fans listen this long, first of all, thank you. But second of all, the run game in 11 personnel with Irv Smith on the field did not look good to me. When Mixon got a couple of good runs, which I'll show you here in a moment, last week against the Browns, It was with 2 tight ends on the field on the first one, and the second one was 11 personnel. All right, let's look at some of the film from the Bengals offense against the Browns last week. Thought the Browns just threw a perfect game defensively. Maybe not a perfect game, maybe a no-hitter. I think the Bengals scored 3 points. You'll see what I'm talking about in terms of I don't believe Burrow is comfortable yet. Maybe it was the wet field. Maybe it was the unbelievable pass rush that the Browns were able to throw out there. But you got to block people if you don't want the pass rush to clobber your quarterback. This is 1st and 10, first possession of the game, first play for the Bengals. And yeah, the running back is on this side. The tight end is crossing face like it's going to be split zone. I mean, they just leave Za'Darius Smith completely unblocked, and Burrow gets crunched. He gets a pressure, quarterback hit, whatever. I don't understand how they're leaving that guy unblocked like that. First possession, 3rd and 9. This is going to be complete to Ja'Marr Chase. You can expect to see this in terms of Chase or someone moving pre-snap to kind of draw out whether it's zone or man. In this case, Burrow gets it confirmed that it's zone and gets the ball out to Chase. Look, there's plenty of throws in the last 2 or 3 years. 2020, Burrow did a lot of good things too before he got hurt, where Burrow is snapping the ball's being snapped, a couple of steps like this, throwing the ball out. But when I say he's not moving, I haven't seen a lot of him moving around trying to get outside the pocket. It didn't appear to me that he was comfortable in this game. Maybe he will be on Sunday, but he certainly wasn't in week 1. 1st and 10, the very next play. This is going to be deep left to Ja'Marr Chase and man. And the ball's intercepted out of bounds. Chase didn't look very competitive on three snaps. Now, he could come in there Sunday at home against the Ravens, and he could go 6 for 150 and 2 touchdowns. But he didn't do that last year. The Ravens did a nice job of holding him down, Marlon Humphrey in particular, and Marcus Peters. The problem for the Ravens is neither one of those guys is playing Sunday. End zone angle, same play. Pass rush, only rushing 4, not getting there. Now check out what the Browns do on some of these other plays. First of all, this is the crossover by Myles Garrett on a 3rd and 5. 2 plays later, it's a sack by 54, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It's the crossover pre-snap by Myles Garrett. Never seen this before. Never heard anybody talk about anything like this, so maybe he got it from the coaches. I don't watch the press conference stuff. Maybe I should at times if I have the opportunity to, but very unique. And Myles Garrett lined up over the center could potentially be a real problem for when the Ravens play the Browns if we don't have Tyler Linderbaum. But look at what the Browns are doing. Now, they're bringing 5. Burrow is trying to get out of here now. Gets taken down for a sack. First possession, stop. All right, second possession. 1st and 10, or this is a 3rd and 1, excuse me. 3rd and 1, they're going to go snag flat, and this is to the new tight end they have. Like I said, Irv Smith, I think is his name. They're basically running a pick with Chase up at the top side, and Smith isn't able to hold on. Incomplete, snag flat down there into the boundary. I would anticipate them trying to attack to the boundary, but we're going to have Kyle Hamilton over here. I mean, I thought Kyle Hamilton looked amazing in week 1. I would take this matchup. Me personally, as a Ravens fan, I would take this matchup. It's a 3rd and 1, second possession, and they have no interest in running the football out of 11 personnel. That is interesting to me. I don't think the Browns are the 86 Bears defensively. I think they're very good, but 3rd and 1, you can certainly run the football. All right, 3rd possession. This is late first quarter, I believe. You have a 2nd and 7 from the negative 16-yard line. The timing is off here. It's an incomplete pass, but look at what the Browns are giving them. 5-1. JOK is off the field, and you got man. Jokers by the Bengals is usually to pass pro with the tight end and the running back to help out the offensive line. And Burrow ends up throwing it out of bounds. The ball looks like it was possibly wet. They just didn't look comfortable against this 5-man rush. They didn't look comfortable against this man defense, this man free, which is what it is, except they're bringing 5. The running back is being guarded by the linebacker. There's no low hole dropper. So they're able to bring 5 and then leave 6 in coverage. 5 people to play man-to-man and 1 free the middle of the field, free safety. 3rd and 7, very next play. Again, look at what the Browns gave them. I don't think this is what the Ravens are going to do. Not with our current DB group. Am I saying that we're not going to stop them? No, I'm saying I think we're going to have to use a different strategy to do so. Maybe at times we'll give them this look, but I don't know who we throw out there to play man-to-man against T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd. It's a 6-yard gain to Boyd, I think, against Grant Delpit, I believe. And it's a stop for the Browns. 3rd possession, 3 possessions, 3 stops. Very physical defense, very physical look in terms of how they were hitting and tackling, and the Bengals really never stood up to it. End zone angle, same play, and then we'll get to a couple more plays from the remaining possessions, 4th, 5th, and 6th. I'm only going to show you selected plays. I'm not giving you everything, but hopefully I'm showing you what the Browns did, and you're seeing it very clearly from here with the 5-man rush, putting pressure on Burrow, get the ball out quick, and doing a nice job on the receivers and man coverage. There's your 5-man rush. I don't know, maybe you want the Ravens to do that. Maybe we should have a different strategy in this game, but I don't ever look at NFL games as a throwaway game. Like, oh, we don't want to show our best stuff here. I think we want to give Burrow our best looks and see what he's going to do. See how he's going to check in and out of things. All right, 4th possession. You're going to get an incomplete pass to Mixon, far left. Just don't look comfortable. No one looks comfortable for the Bengals. It's so rare to see this offense with so much talent not get people involved and not get the ball out quick. Burrow's feet don't look right to me, particularly on this play. Again, it was a wet field. If you're a Bengals fan, you watch this long, let me know if my perception is accurate at all. They wouldn't have him out there if he was 80%, but he doesn't look 100% to me, at least not on that day. 2nd and 10, Boyd incomplete pass, short right. You can see it's a 4-man look by the Browns defense. They got JOK on the field. I think he's number 6 this year, I believe. And then they are bringing 5. So they're basically playing man-free, the same defense I'm talking about, except they're doing it from a 4-2 platform and bringing a 5-man pressure. So interesting that the strategy that Browns used in Week 1 this year was a 5-man rush versus last year. Everybody was playing Tampa 2 so much against this team to try to avoid giving up the big play. Here's the free safety who is, free, but you can see you got man across the board, and then 5-man rush. Forcing Burrow, get the ball out quick. In this case, a really nice play, I think, by Newsome. 3rd and 15 after a penalty. And this one really surprised me watching the replay. It's almost like the Bengals just gave up. I mean, this is 4th possession. Now, granted, you can't really tell from this screen how much it's raining and how much that's impacting the play calling. But this one surprised me. All the weapons they've got, I kept waiting for them to take more chances downfield, more shots downfield, and I didn't see them until after this possession. 5th possession. Finally get the run game going. This formation could be an issue for the Ravens. 12 personnel, for anyone for that matter. 12 personnel, twin wing. So theoretically, you'd have Higgins and Chase down here, 2 tight ends to the top side, and the running back into the boundary. Well, if we go nickel personnel, the nickel would be down here. We'd have a corner, and we're going to have a safety somewhere in this area here. 3/2 is what we're basically creating, a triangle over top of the 2 twin receivers. That could create problems numbers-wise up there to the boundary in the run game or the pass game. And you can see for Mixon, he gets a 12-yard gain. He's running hard. Give the end zone angle of this one, by the way. So you can see it. This is a formation I would expect the Bengals to go to early. See how the Ravens line up. This is the same play, end zone angle. You can see that the running back is on the same side as the 2 tight ends. Twin wing A in the terminology that I've been taught. Very next play, again, 5th possession. Took this long to get things going. Now they're going 11 personnel. Unsure of who's going to motion. running away from the tight end, but it's not Irv Smith on the field. 22 or 23-yard gain for Mixon, running hard, never gets taken down. Motion into the boundary, creating a tray over there, tight end trips, and then running back to the field. I think it's the right guard, did a great job getting out to the second level. Eventually on that fifth possession, they come to a 3rd and 3, and they will take a shot downfield against man. See, nice job by the, I think, right guard 65. I don't really know much about the Bengals O-line this year other than Orlando Brown is there. This is the 3rd and 3. From the positive 38, you can get an indication. You can see a little bit of raindrops coming down. Incomplete to T. Higgins, right side versus man coverage. Those situations I think the Ravens kind of have to avoid as much as possible because I don't think it's advantageous for us to have Darby or Brandon Stevens against Chase or Higgins one-on-one out there to the sidelines. It's the fact. Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey, more talented guys physically, able to adjust and make plays. That's your 5th possession. 6th possession. This one was interesting to me. Again, 11 personnel. They run the ball this time on 3rd and 1, and they don't have Irv Smith on the field. I did not track it. The run pass with Smith on the field at tight end versus 89, who I think is a better blocker. They don't get it, by the way. I think this is a great read by, I think it's Wk, right here, number 6. Getting disruptive, coming downhill. But it's interesting to me that they were not running the football with Smith on the field that much, at least not that I saw. I don't know about you. I'm really surprised at how the Bengals offense came out there and looked in week 1. I personally thought they could have beaten that Chiefs team again last year in the AFC title game, been in 2 consecutive Super Bowls, regardless of what we think as Ravens fans. That'd be an amazing accomplishment. And then for them to come out there in week 1 offensively and look how they did, that really caught me off guard. And I wasn't prepared when I finally did get the chance to watch the film on Thursday for how clunky and off rhythm everything looked. So having said all that about the Bengals offense and talked about how well the Ravens defense played against the Texans, but B, how big the losses are not having Humphrey and Marcus Williams around to defend, this 11 personnel attack. I think there's 3 possible outcomes. Well, there's multiple possible outcomes, but I'm going to focus on 3. Number 1, we get a shootout. The Bengals defense isn't, quote, ready yet. And the Bengals offense breaks out against an undermanned or depleted secondary for the Ravens. I mean, it's possible. That's not exactly what I think is going to happen, but it's possible. Certainly with the Ravens' weapons, it's within the realm of possibility that both offenses come out there, sharpen up from last week, get the ball out quick to playmakers, and people bust big plays. We've certainly got enough talent on offense, even despite the loss of J.K. Dobbins from a position player standpoint, and the Bengals clearly do as well. That's not the one that I'm going with. I'm not going with a 35-31 game for real. I just feel like the defenses and the coaching staffs and players on both sides are too proud and too talented to allow something like that to happen. But I could be wrong. It'd be fun to watch. It'd be good for my offense podcast, which I hope to get out earlier than Friday morning this week because now the film is working for me on NFL.com, which is wonderful. Second scenario. Ravens defense can't keep up with the Bengals, and the Bengals defense is on point like it has been in the past. And you get a 10-point differential sometime in the second half, and we've got to try to fight our way back in it. I'm going to be honest with you, that's not what I expect to happen. I expect this Ravens offense to be able to move the ball against the Bengals defense. I didn't really show any Bengals film here, to be honest with you. I'm going to do that on Sunday morning. I didn't show any Bengals defense film, excuse me. I'm going to do that Sunday morning. You guys last week gave me feedback that you enjoyed it, so we'll do it again. I do expect this Ravens offense to have some success. I do. Are we going to have 3 or 4 10-play drives? I don't know about all that because I think the Bengals are incredibly well coached and smart, and they can make adjustments. Now, their safeties without Bates and Von Bell, and great for those 2 guys. They got paid a lot of money and created generational wealth for their family, hopefully. But weaken the Bengals secondary, if you ask me. I can see the Ravens hitting some big pass plays. I can, particularly to the outside with Bateman or OBJ, or Zay Flowers, I should say, as well. And then if Andrews is healthy enough and able to go, I could really see him causing problems for them if they're going to play a lot of man. That scenario, that I described, the second one, I could see the Bengals being up 21-10 and the Ravens having to fight back and end up losing, 24-17 or something like that, or maybe 27-17 if our defense can't keep up. The third scenario, the one that I foresee, is a low-scoring, tough battle, just like we saw last year. Now, granted, the Bengals scored more points in the Week 18 regular season matchup last year, but one of them was a defensive touchdown, the strip sack in the end zone. And then they also had a really fortunate interception for them on a ball that Anthony Brown was throwing to Isaiah Likely. Poor interception. That drive led to a touchdown. So I felt like the points they scored in the Week 18 regular season matchup was a little bloated. The playoff game and the Week 5 game, I think, is a clear indicator as to what could happen on Sunday. 19-17, 20-17. I don't 17-14, those types of things I don't see. And these numbers I'm throwing out, these possibilities, are no turnovers. No turnovers. Other than the second scenario. If for the Bengals to get up 21-10 or 24-10, I kind of feel like there's got to be a turnover in there somewhere. Ravens don't turn the football over with this offense. And we got there and played defense like we did against the Texans. Very sound, keeping things in front of us, tackling well, physical, and Oweh can get after the quarterback. Unless something has changed in Burrow from Week 1 in Cleveland to Sunday afternoon at home in Cincinnati, and Oweh can get to him, he's not going to escape. He doesn't look completely comfortable yet. And I think the world of Burrow as a quarterback. I mean, he's won a lot of games in high-pressure situations, and he'll continue to do that. Fully expect this Bengals team to win 10, 11, 12, 13 football games, just like I think the Ravens can. I think the third scenario is more likely. 0 turnovers on either side. 21-17, 20-19, 20-17 in either way. I think we have a big advantage having Tucker, number one. Number two, maybe a larger advantage having Lamar. And that's something that some of those guys for the Bengals haven't dealt with that much the last 2 years. Week 7 at home in Baltimore, yeah, they took it to us. Week 5 last year, we won the game. I thought Lamar was fantastic for most of that game, and I thought he was amazing on the game-winning drive. A lot of right-handed football plays to our right, but it worked. I think Monken is going to be more balanced right and left. I think he's going to be more balanced field and boundary. And in fact, at times, I think Monken's going to be more so attacking to the boundary. I'd like to see some deep shots this week, particularly if we get man coverage. I think we've got the athletes to hurt them there and maybe scare them out of certain coverages. Do you think we'll see sticks blitz 0 this week? I'm not sure that Lou trusts his guys enough. I don't know that he thinks they need to. Because I think pass rush-wise, they believe they're going to win without Ronnie Stanley, without Linderbaum. Hopefully those guys can return. It'd be great if Linderbaum can come back week 3, and maybe Stanley could be out another 2 weeks or something like that. Make sure Ronnie Stanley's perfectly healthy before he comes back. That will be my vote. Do you think we'll see sticks blitz 0? A lot of people didn't think we'd see it in week 1 against the Texans, and we did, and it was effective. Now, we did also beat it with a 19-yard screen to Zay Flowers, who looks like he's going to be a real problem. I'm looking for, I don't want to say a trick play by the Ravens. Early on, I'm thinking second possession, I'm looking for a reverse. I'm looking for some type of play that's offbeat or a designed play to go up top, meaning max protection. We think we know the coverage the Bengals are going to be in, and we're going to go up top. I believe Todd Monk, from what I've seen of him at Georgia, I believe he does that 2 or 3 times a game, strategically. We're going to go max pro, and we're going to go up top. I don't want to see it be out of one back under center because I think it's becoming predictable. And before Sunday morning, I'm going to go back through and make sure it's 6 of 7. I'm talking about preseason and regular season for the Ravens. Offense. One back under center. And I by the way, I shared the offense data, which is play-by-play everything, and then separated into first down, third down tabs, and then 11 personnel, 20 personnel, and 21, 22 I put together because the data was so similar. I'll put that in the description here if you guys are interested. If you listen this long, first of all, thank you. I wasn't planning on this video being this long, but I had a lot to say, and it didn't even really cover the Bengals defense, which I finally got a chance to watch Friday night, and I'll put some stuff out there Sunday morning if you guys are interested. I appreciate y'all's time. This was kind of a review, I guess, of what we saw in week 1, but using that review to kind of project forward, and it's difficult to do with how many injuries there are on the Ravens side, number one. Number two, how weird the Bengals offense looked in week 1 against a Browns defense that appeared overwhelming at times. I just don't think that these two offenses are going to, I don't think it's going to be 38-35, but I know there's a lot of you listening. A lot of NFL fans love points, and you'd love to see that. I guess it'd be fun for me to watch too, as long as the Ravens win 38-35. I'm looking for 21-17, 24-20, something like that. I think the Ravens got a better than 6-10 chance to win this football game if we don't commit any turnovers and we don't give up big plays. Sounds very classic or quintessential, I guess, because that's what every football coach says. But we can't go out there and turn the ball over twice against this Bengals team and expect to win, particularly on the road with the injuries we got on both sides of football. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you enjoy these streams or these videos coming out on Saturday morning, please let me know. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this content, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.